How to get over the feeling of grieving for a sibling who hasn't actually died. Me, 28 female, and my brother, 24 male, have been really close our whole lives. He was like my best friend and people always commented how nice it was to see siblings with such a great relationship. He had some struggles from the age of 17 onwards. His first serious girlfriend cheated on him and then he sort of spiraled with drinking, nights out, girls and failing university. We tried to support him but he's a very guarded person until he eventually cracks, which is usually when things have already gotten beyond repair. Out of the blue at 19, he tells me secretly he got a girl pregnant and doesn't like her or want the baby. Our parents are strict so we thought all hell would break loose, but once he told them they were incredibly supportive. The girl decided to keep the baby and my brother did the honorable thing and got into a relationship with her. We supported him because what else do you do? We had never met this girl or knew anything about her. They wanted to live in our parents' house as it had the space for them all whilst they saved for their own place. My brother at this point had dropped out of uni and was working as a customer service representative on the phones for a bank, and the girl was not working. My parents agreed to let them live their rent and bill free, but shortly after the girl rocked up to the house with a brand new car she had taken out on credit and a new phone. My dad felt like he was being made a mug of at that instant and told my brother the girl couldn't live with us for free anymore. She and her family kicked off. Mind you, my folks were happy to accept some nominal rent and contribution to bills instead, and she refused to step foot in our house again. My brother was distraught as he didn't want to live at her parents' house as it was overcrowded, but that's what he did. The baby arrived, my brother proposed and we all sort of fixed our relationship for the sake of the baby. It was okay for a while but my brother became more and more withdrawn. He just wasn't the person we knew anymore. The girl is nice enough but really the one who wears the trousers. She spent 99% of their time with her family but would regularly call upon my parents to bail them out financially. My niece is now 3 and my parents have since worked out they have loaned them upwards of £25,000 to help them with rent and bills they couldn't afford, as the girl still never locked down a solid full-time job. She actually quit too because she didn't like her bosses' hours. Fast forward to September 2021, brother texts my parents saying they're in debt of £30,000 plus with no way out as he earns minimum wage and the girl has now gone back to uni so has no income. They can't afford their rent and he's close to declaring bankruptcy, which would mean he would lose his job. He still works in the bank. He asks to move back into the family home with his wife and baby so they can dig themselves out of the debt. My parents agree, putting their retirement plans of selling their large house and downsizing somewhere quiet on hold for 2-3 years, agreed timeframe between them all. Our family home is old and falling apart, hence why they wanted to sell up and move on. They obviously can't have my niece in a cold, creaky house, so they renovate the upstairs so they have their own floor to themselves and just share a kitchen downstairs with my parents. Slowly but surely, the relationship with the girl, now wife, gets more and more difficult. She's not very polite, messy and flaunts her overspending in front of everyone, Domino's multiple times a week, online packages arriving almost daily, etc. My mum is almost tearing her hair out to me in secret about how much stress this is causing her because she can't see a time frame where, based on their current behavior, they'll be able to pay off this debt and move out, so her golden years now seem to be all about supporting them. Now he is still my little brother, so I try my best to advocate for him, that they're definitely trying and it'll all work out, and how lovely it is to have the grandchild in the house as we never saw her often before. Then the wife starts mentioning the notion of a second baby. My parents cut this off quickly with, "You can't afford one and you can't have a second baby in this house. That was not the deal when we agreed to help. You're not planning to do this whilst you're living off of us, right?" They both laughed it off and said no, of course not, we're just excited to eventually have a second one. Beginning of December, my brother spills the beans to me secretly again that they're pregnant and going to surprise my parents on Christmas. Well, quite frankly I thought it would give me parents a heart attack as it's all they've fretted about for months now. He told me not to say anything as they were planning to reveal it themselves in a few weeks. I decided to let my mum know, so she could prepare herself and not kick off on Christmas Day for the sake of everyone attending. She then took it upon herself to let them know that she knew and she wasn't happy. The wife was really angry that we weren't celebrating for them and started calling my mum and FC King BTCH and screaming that she would never see her grandchildren again, and packed up the baby and some stuff and moved out that night. I eventually text my brother, 1 week after I gave birth by C-section myself and 2 weeks since the incident with my mum, saying that I would always support him and I'm sorry I told them before they wanted, but I had to look out for my whole family, not just him. He never replied. I got a nasty text from the wife saying if I wanted to speak to him, I had to speak to her. I told her that I'd wait to hear from my brother and not her, as I wasn't talking to her in my message. I since have not heard from him. He has not seen his 8-week-old nephew and I deeply miss him and my niece. It feels like I'm grieving someone who has passed away but he hasn't. I don't know how to get over this. I find myself crying every day about it. TLDR feels like I've lost my sibling forever and not sure how to go through the grieving process when he is still alive. Look into shadow loss. This is that. It's hard and you will get through it. My brother and I went through something similar when he was 16. Sheesh man, this almost sounds exactly like me. I'm 24 as well, had a baby with a very immature woman on accident. All the alcohol, bad decision making, relying on parents. Thankfully I left her before it got that crazy. I don't really have an answer for your question, but maybe I could help you with what's going through his mind. Tough situation. The first step is to understand you did your best to reconcile with your brother and he's too stuck in his poor decision making to realize he's made you the villain because it's easier. It hurts now, but with time the pain will lessen when you realize it. He's a different person now and people are always changing. Second, don't stress about it and do what you can not to think about it. You just had a new baby. This time is all about you and your little family. Take this time to bond with your little one and also be kind to yourself. My sister ghosted me 2 years now and we have only spoken once when I had to tell her our dad died. I still don't even know why. She said something about pandemic making things hard, which I get. But I've had a baby since then and nothing. Things weren't always easy growing up, but we are well in our 30s now and I'm left wondering what happened and getting triggered by the most random things thinking of her. I do my best to let her know the door is open but respect her space. You are not alone, op. It's worse than a heartbreak and not quite like death, but about as painful. Because they chose this. It sounds like your brother is in an abusive relationship, so I would do your best to keep letting him know you'll always be there just in case. Not advice, but validation. I feel similarly in a sense. My twin sister is non-verbal, and has severe learning difficulties. I found myself, in my teens, grieving for the sister I should have had. I still have a sister, and I always loved her, but I just wished I could have had a real sibling relationship with her. Same goes for both of my parents. My narc mother went psycho on me a few years ago, and we have been no contact ever since. My choice. My dad is a deadbeat, enabling piece of shit that I no longer talk to either. I am now finding myself grieving for the parents that I should have had. Your feelings are 100% valid, and always will be. This is so sad. You've tried so hard to be there for him, but his abusive wife won't allow him to have healthy relationships with his family. I am so sorry you are going through this. Hopefully your brother can eventually see that he is not in a healthy relationship on his own and be able to extricate himself and his children from that woman. Unfortunately, he is the only one who will be able to make that choice. She wants to isolate him from his loved ones, so just make sure that you are there to support him if he can find his way back to your family. Congratulations on your baby. If I was you, I would put a bunch of the pent-up emotional energy into building a divorce portfolio for him. Contact info for a highly recommended lawyer, a list of dates and quotes and info on the ways his partner has been abusive and irresponsible, special focus on deliberately dissipating marital assets to the detriment of the household's ability to support itself, neglecting to care for the child, swearing at the grandparents in front of the baby and other bad influence behavior, notes on savings earmarked to pay said lawyer. Have it on hand in your filing cabinet for when he decides he's ready to leave. He might never decide he's ready, but it might still make you feel better, because if he does, it'll help. I feel for your situation. I don't really have an answer as I am in a similar situation, but I just wanted you to know that you are not alone in feeling this way. I miss having my sister, but she just doesn't want that much closeness even though we live like 15 miles away from each other. It's stupid and I miss just having someone who I can talk with that is a family member, but that's the way she is and I have to accept it. I haven't spoken to my sister in almost 9 years. She disrespected me privately and publicly. Then she blamed my wife for her miscarriage even though they were 700 miles away. She reached out to me late last year via letter. I haven't sent my response. I don't know if I will. Every time I think about reaching out, I image her screaming at me for some perceived slight. It gets easier to deal with, but sometimes it still hurts. This is why you never let somebody move in, temporarily. If you let them move in, you should do so with the expectation that it's going to be for the long haul. If they do actually leave in a short period of time, then that's a bonus, but it rarely happens. Once people get settled, they rarely move, especially with free rent. Your parents should have known that a 2-3 year time frame based on past behavior was going to be impossible. As for your brother, he sounds way too passive. He's very much a pushover and is allowing his wife to walk all over and control him. I guarantee she will one day cheat and leave him based on the way you've described her personality. He is going to be crushed, but it sounds like he may need to hit rock bottom before he can rise up again. The people I'm concerned for are the babies of your brother and his wife, who seems to be bipolar or something. She should see a shrink and get on meds. How are they surviving if he only works minimum wage jobs? Does he like his wife, or is she just using him for sex and money? Can you meet him somewhere secretly? I think the best strategy for you will be mindfulness and acceptance. There's even a little series on mindfulness by Headspace that's on Netflix. I'm not trying to convert you, I'm not even religious, but I like a lot of Buddhist philosophy about acceptance. Other than that, mourning is just about learning how to move through the world without their presence to count on. Tell him to fake his death. It's cheaper. I don't think you have to grieve him or get over it. Sibling relationships are usually the longest relationships of our lives. You won't have the same level of closeness your whole lives. Your feelings are valid, and of course you're allowed to be angry and sad, but this won't be forever. I'm in a similar spot. My brother lives 10 minutes away, but I've not seen him in 2 years now. What really helped me is doing everything I could to maintain a relationship for the duration of the first year, and after he kept dodging my attempts to meet up or call, I sent him a final letter telling him how I feel. And now I can sleep soundly at night, as the ball is fully in his court. If he wants a relationship with me, he'll reach out. If not, that's an answer too. You sure do blame a lot of this on his wife. You know it takes 2 people to make 2 babies, right? Lol, it's gonna end and he will come back eventually.